Hey guys, what is up? Today we're going to talk about the movie Triple Frontier, directed by C.Chandor. This movie stars Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, and Garrett Hedlund. So this movie, I feel like, was advertised to be a heavily action-oriented film, and it was, but I felt like it was still missing some element of action. I felt like it turned more into a drama, which I liked, but I felt like it was advertised as, you know, this action-packed heist movie, which it is. But it felt like it lost some kind of steam towards the end of the film. I felt like we got the idea of the direction the film was taking, and it felt like these characters were just kind of digging themselves into holes. And I will say this film did a good job talking about greed, or what can make a person lose themselves. Greed seems to be a central issue in this film. It seems to be the main antagonist of the movie. Greed is what sends these guys on this mission to steal a bunch of this money from a criminal, you know, millions and millions of dollars. But of course, it's like it doesn't end well. I do like that though. I like that it ended kind of sad, but also uplifting because of course the guys give the money to Ben Affleck's daughter. So the characters in this film I do like, such as Ben Affleck's character and Oscar Isaac's, like those are the two central characters in this film. They have the most, I guess, motives in the film. You know, Oscar Isaac, he is bitter from being, you know, working for the government and, you know, being in the armed forces and having nothing to show for it, you know? And he's sacrificed his life for so many years. You know, Ben Affleck and Oscar Isaac, they have both sacrificed so much for the United States, you know, because they're both in the armed forces. I appreciate that they show these two soldiers just kind of thinking, man, we've spent so much time in the armed forces that we want more. There's got to be more. We deserve more than what we have gotten in return for serving our country. The central theme in this film is definitely that greed is evil. It's so in your face, especially when they're getting the money out of the walls and you're thinking, okay, a normal person, a person with logic and a person with common sense and adrenaline running through their veins would think, we need to get out of here because these criminals are going to be coming back to that mansion and they're going to kill them. My thought process would be, okay, we've loaded this van with so much money, we should get out of here. I know there's always more money to be made, guys, but you don't need all of it and you can't get too greedy. And they got too greedy by staying, you know, in the mansion for too long, getting too much money, and they end up killing people, and then they have a tough time transporting the money, and then they sacrifice a bunch of money by just letting it go so their helicopter can get over a mountain, and then they still crash and they lose even more money. And then Ben Affleck kills some people of this village or this town who feel threatened by these Americans who just crash landed. They have guns and everything. Ben Affleck kills these unarmed civilians. It's disheartening, and we see the demise of Ben Affleck. You know, at the beginning of the film, Ben Affleck was so against this illegal mission to get money, you know? He was fine just trying to sell some houses, but it wasn't, of course, going so well. That's why he eventually took the illegal job. And it's disappointing because he didn't really want to go into the mission, and then he becomes the one who really wants to stay in the mansion and get all the money he can, and Oscar Isaac is like, what are you doing, man? We gotta go. And then of course later, Ben Affleck, when he kills the civilians, it's even worse. Oscar Isaac's character feels even that much more upset about it, you know, bringing Ben Affleck there. All these characters, they struggle to keep true to who they are. When I first watched the movie, I wish there was more action. I felt like after the heist, you know, after they stole the money, I felt like after that scene, the pacing kind of dragged on a bit. We kind of knew, all right, this isn't going to end well. You know, they're just carrying a few bags when before they had, you know, hundreds of bags of money. Now they only have like a few bags to carry along with them. At this point, I'd be more concerned about getting out of that area and getting home. Just saying, all right, this is a bad day. We're going to get out of here. We're not going to try to carry all this money. But of course, their greed got to them and they want to keep as much money as they could. But of course, when Ben Affleck dies in the movie, it's disappointing and it's upsetting. I knew somebody was going to die. Somebody had to die. And I think it was the right move to have Ben Affleck die because it made Oscar Isaac's character learn a valuable lesson. You know, he pulls Ben Affleck into this illegal job. You know, this greed overcame Ben Affleck's character and it was his demise. So I appreciate the film for that. I guess the film subverted my expectations. If you know what I'm saying. The movie should have maybe just been a little stronger towards the end as far as pacing. The movie ended ended well. It still is disappointing to see these guys lose so much money. You know, they only end up with a few bags left, which ends up being about like $5 million, which they of course give to Ben Affleck's daughter. I'm pretty sure it's like that. Okay, the cinematography was pretty good. I like the way it was shot, pretty wide angle a lot of the time. The action scenes were shot beautifully, and I gotta say, the landscapes are beautiful too. So, sweet. The editing was also pretty good besides the pacing towards the end. When they're stealing the money, I was so anxious the entire time, like, okay, let's get going. The editing, I think, made me glued to the screen. And the directing is good, especially when they are on the side of the mountain, just trying to escape. It was cool to see like their breakdown. I felt like the director was able to show the breakdown of all the characters really well. And of course, that has to do with the acting, of course, you know. And I think it's wise the filmmakers chose to show the actors burning their money, because at some point they realized this entire mission is a waste of our time, almost, you know, in a way. It was kind of like it was like a visual representation of what they were going through, how much of a disaster it was. And it was nice to see that progression in Ben Affleck's character and seeing him be like, you know what, I don't care about this money as much anymore. You know, just burning it. They're all burning it. And when he dies, it makes it that much more heartbreaking, because we see this guy who learned something still get punished for previous actions because of a villager, you know, kills him. So the acting and the directing, I think, were very good. I just felt like the pacing would have made this film much better, you know. Right away, I knew this film was going to end poorly for the characters, because a movie about stealing millions of dollars in another country, illegally, of course, it has bad idea written all over it. You know, these characters should have not been so greedy, you know. I wish there were a few more surprises. I will say that Ben Affleck killing the civilians was pretty surprising, but it made sense, you know, which is good. I'm glad it did. It wasn't like a complete shock that he did that. I felt like, though, we needed more, I guess, more reason to keep watching. After we see them walking around with all this money, you know, and transporting it just seemed like a pain, and I'm like, why are you guys, I don't know. It just felt like it was just a disaster. I knew it was gonna end as a disaster. I think the audience just kind of figured that was gonna happen. I do like the message behind it. Don't go into something all for the money. Another important message is to make sure that our veterans have a peaceful life after their time in the military or any of the armed forces is over. This film raises some good questions, though, and the film does a good job just talking about greed, but also having financial stability. What would you do to make some money so you can provide for your family? This film does make you relate to the characters from those perspectives and saying, you know, their motives, they have reasonable motives for this, you know? They want to make money, and they're going to steal from a morally corrupt person, a criminal. So it makes sense that they would want to go in and steal from a criminal. You know, it makes sense. I get their reasoning, I get the motives, and they want to take that money in for themselves, but provide for themselves and for, you know, Ben Affleck's family and such. But of course, at some point, you think that the characters should have been a little more realistic. So yes, I'm gonna give this movie a 3.5 out of 5, just because the pacing was kind of off, and some scenes were just a little too predictable, and I wanted a little more action because I was advertised more action than what we got. Besides that, the movie was pretty nice. It was enjoyable, and it had good messages behind it. But there's always more to dissect. So if you have any comments or if you disagree with me, let me know. I want to know what you guys think about this film. All right, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm your host, Matt Triola. I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye. Innocent people.
Okay, I found this on the web.
Siri, what the heck? All right.